Unsolicited genius.
All right, welcome back to Unsolicited Genius. What in the sports, Mo? We are in the official dry season of our sporting. No football, no basketball. I know you watch baseball.
I love baseball. My Red
love your
Sox are getting
baseball.
killed right now.
Some good tennis happening, some golf happening. So there's stuff, but it's not the energy of the football season or the NBA season, et cetera, et cetera. So what are you watching to keep your sporting occupied?
Well, I love all sports. So I'm definitely watching baseball. You know, my Red Sox were losing 6-3 tonight. I'm into the Braves because I live in Atlanta. We actually went to the game last night. I'm not watching golf. If Tiger's not playing, I'm not watching golf.
He just played in the pro-am.
But I didn't watch that shit because it's not real. So I am fascinated with the live shit though. That live PGA tour, I love it. I love it.
Have you watched? Did they broadcast? Did Liv broadcast their last tournament? Did you watch it?
Hell no, I didn't watch it. I'm not interested in watching it. I'm just liking how they're feuding. Like that's the part I'm interested in. I don't care about watching the golf. Fascinating to me, man. I love this argument that how can these guys take the Saudis' money? Like I don't know, breaking news. I hate to break this to you. It's not like America's the most moral country in the damn world either. Like what the Saudis are evil, America's evil. So no matter where they're taking their money from.
That was my thought.
No matter where they're taking their money from, they're taking it from like it's like, you know who else, Carlton, is in cahoots with the Saudis and their government? The American government. How can you blame these guys for taking $200 million just to be on the tour? Brooks Koepka's little brothers made more money in one tournament than he made in 3 years. You're blaming them and saying, how can they take the Saudi money? Well, we take Saudi oil. We take Saudi money.
We do.
17 of the 29/11 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. Did we attack Saudi Arabia? No, we attacked Iraq. Like what?
The Bushes had them over for a barbecue, if I remember correctly. So
Saudi Arabia killed an American citizen, and we just let it slide. Like America's in cahoots with Saudi Arabia. So I don't understand how you could blame these boys for taking Saudi money. And you know, they trot out the victims of 9/11. Of course, that's awful. Like, you know, what happened to their family members. And they're like, oh, I'm so against them taking the Saudi money. But your government didn't do anything to Saudi Arabia for what they did. Our government didn't do anything to Saudi Arabia. We didn't, not one sanction, not one soldier was put down, not one threat was made, because we're in cahoots with Saudi Arabia. We are in cahoots with them. So that part of it, is fascinating to me, man. If you're those golfers, I don't understand what the other ones are doing. If they're offering you $200 million just to be on the tour, Carlton, you gotta take that. You gotta take that.
Well, Rory said he's staying put.
Man, if I'm Tiger, I bet you they'd offer Tiger like $500 million. If I'm Tiger,
you gonna watch Live then though.
Oh hell yeah! I'll be watching them play at Pumpkin Ridge. Oh, you know what else? You know what else I love? Oh, how can you take the Saudi money? How can you take the Saudi money? You know where the next tournament is? Donald Trump's golf course.
Liv's next tournament
is at Donald Trump's golf course.
Man,
you couldn't make this shit up, Carlton. You couldn't make this shit up. Because you know the people that are most against it are the MAGAs. You know they're the ones most against it. But here comes the Saudis with their money, paying Trump so they could play on this golf course. Mr. America is letting the Saudis have their golf tournament on his soil.
You
got
So another controversial topic, and this I'm coming to you to educate me, educate our audience. The NIL. Read an article, Primetime. You know, we love Primetime. What he's done in football, my favorite player. What he's done HBCUs most recently, but he talked about NIL is causing behavior problems amongst the players, and the schools need to ramp up their staffing, ramp up their programs to be able to manage the NIL. So before we get into the behavior issue, break down for us what the NIL is and what it's doing.
So the NIL, the kids can now get paid for their name, image, and likeness. They could basically strike sponsorship deals, but it's not supposed to be used as a recruiting tool, but like, get real. So, you know, basically what's happening now is the schools that have the most booster money are the ones that are tending to get, like, look at Texas A&M. Texas A&M had the #1 class last year. Not Alabama, not Georgia, Texas A&M, because the Texas A&M boosters got money. They're willing to pay.
Texas oil and gas money alone, baby. Talk about Saudi.
So that, and people don't like that part of it, Carlton. They're like, it wasn't intended to be this. This is college athletics. It wasn't supposed to be a bidding war between schools for kids. Me, I love it. I love it. This is America. These kids help these schools make millions and millions of dollars.
At this point. It's billions at this point.
Billions. They deserve their cut. They're finally getting their cut. I'm all for it. You know, Carlton, it's like white America hates to see a young black man make money. They're all about capitalism until it's some young black kid that's out there, and they're like, he should be saying nonsense, like he should be playing for the love of the game and the love of the university. Oh, the fuck have you ever worked for free? Like the Batman movie with the Joker with Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Classic. One of my favorite quotes in the movie
Classic.
is when he walks in. You remember the scene where he walks in and the gangsters are all sitting at the table and the guy's on the TV, and he walks in and he sits down and he goes, I know what you need to do. He basically says they're a bunch of cowards because they're scared of the Batman. And he goes, I know what you need to do. And the guy goes, what? He goes, we need to kill the Batman. And the guy goes, well, if it's so easy, why haven't you done it yet? He goes, if you're good at something, why do it for free? And that's life, Carlton, in America. If you're good at something, don't do that shit for free. Make sure you get paid. And these kids are finally getting paid. And white people are in an uproar. Did it ruin college football for you last year? Did the kids not try as hard last year because they got paid? No, because they're trying to get paid even more and go to the NFL. In terms of what you said about Deion Sanders, that's a him problem at Jackson State. I doubt that's a problem at Alabama, Carlton. I'm pretty sure they have enough staffing. At Georgia, I'm pretty sure they have enough staffing.
That's fair.
At Florida, I'm pretty sure they have enough staffing. That's just, unfortunately.
I know the programs. What I did read is the programs are hiring administrators, so to speak, to oversee the NIL portion of their program. But
how many ex-coaches does Nick Saban have on his staff? Like, on his staff, he just gives them these goofy positions, and he has like an army of coaches. I love that these kids are getting paid, Carlton. They've always deserved this. To the people that are like, they're getting a free education. Anybody could get the free education. You just won't get the diploma. You could go to your university right now in your town, sit in the classroom, get the education. You just won't get the diploma at the end. You can do it. It doesn't cost them anything extra to put a body in that seat. And then they're like, oh, what about the school? The school is training them, and they're giving them the gym and the practice field and all of this. Carlton, how did they get the money to pay for the gym and the practice field and all of that? The football players. The football players. And they're like, oh, if we have to pay them, it's going to take away money from the other sports. Is that the football players' problem? That's not their damn problem. Like, why? You don't want to pay them, but you want to put the burden of the other sports programs on them. That shit don't make no damn sense.
Yeah, what I've found interesting is I took my son to a football camp, I guess maybe last week before. Shout out to Real Gold Sports. They're doing some, good things in this new era. And basically it was a media combine camp, meaning it was like combine. They had the 40, they had the vertical leap, they had some cone drills, weights, bench pressing. But basically each participant left that event with media footage, video footage of them performing these tasks, performing these skills so that they can add to their brand. And in that, they had a seminar that specifically educated them on social media. And so my son and I were just there. Clearly, I was just a spectator, but he was a spectator because these were high school students. But I thought it was powerful what they were teaching and educating the kids on when it comes to social media. There's rules that we tend to understand, but when you're an athlete seeking a scholarship, seeking higher levels, there's other things that you have to consider. I mean, some of them have their parents managing their social media page, but all of that is connected and the key driver in this NIL, because if you look the part and you play the part, you got to show up on the field. But if you can add that highlight, add some of that sexiness to what you're doing, that adds to your brand and increases your opportunity to capitalize. So, it's one thing for me to be watching ESPN and hear the talking heads go on and on about the NIL, but it was a whole nother experience to be with rising athletes and with the group of people that will be supporting them throughout their journey. So it's real, I think, and I agree with everything you said. I mean,
shouldn't it be applauded that these young people are going out there at an early age and realizing the value of building a brand of entrepreneurship instead of condemned and looked down upon as like this could ruin college sports? Like a stockbroker, right? Like let's just say a white stockbroker, a black stockbroker, any kind of stockbroker. If he diversifies by going into real estate to make more money, does anybody hate on that? No, they say he's a brilliant businessman. Why do they hate on these kids making money? And the only thing I could think of is like, it's power.
Yeah.
These schools wanted to control these kids so they can make billions off them and not pay the labor. And now that they're finally getting paid, they're acting like it's the end of the world. When the real travesty the whole time was that they weren't getting paid. That was the travesty. It's not that they're getting paid now. It's the way you treated them for however hundreds of years that you've had college football or had college sports, or you've ran this damn NCAA tournament and you get $2.4 billion from CBS to air it. And the kids, they get nothing while you fill up football stadiums with people.
We were at the LSU game. There was a lot of people in that stadium.
Come on, dog. Like, I'm for, and they're talking about legislation. I'm like, they're like, they don't want it to be used as a recruiting tool. I'm like, why not? To the highest bidder we go. How am I going to know who's going to pay me the most unless the school tells me? They should just make that part of it legal too. Like, let's just put it all out on the table, dog. And, you and I went to Florida. We're Florida fans, but hey, if Florida doesn't want to pay, let the kid make his money, man, because that's America, right? Every other American chases a job that pays them the most. Why shouldn't these kids go to the school that pays them the most? Or if they choose to go to a school that pays them less because they like that school more, that's their choice too. They have options.
Choice and options. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that transitions choice and options, right? So we still in the offseason, no NBA. But your boy Kevin Durant made it clear that he no longer wants to be in Brooklyn. Not sure what's going on with Kyrie, but one of the places that he is interested in is the Heat. Now,
oh Lord,
we could talk about Durant, but what I would say as a Miami Heat fan, of course I want to win, but I'm a competitor. I like competition, and I like being able, if I'm playing, to conquer the competition. If it's my team, I like for them to show the toughness, the grit, and fight their way to the top. That being said, I got mixed feelings about Durant coming to the Heat. I'm not a big Durant fan. I think he's a huge talent. I think you and I have been on the same page as that from when he was at Texas, when he was and didn't want to be called Durantula and all that stuff, right? He's a huge talent, but there's so much drama and there's so much extra stuff. I don't know if I want him.
Well, let me first say this, man. One, Durant, after he left Golden State, and I understand why he left Golden State, because no one would ever look at that and be like, that was his team. Even though I give him full credit for those championships, he was the best player on that team in my mind. Even though for legacy, man, if you ask me, Curry's jumped him in legacy with this championship, because Curry has 4 now, has 2 MVPs, has a Finals MVP, has 2 with Durant, has 2 without Durant. Even though some people will want to point to the injuries in the first one, but that's life in the NBA. Like, injuries happen. Yeah, that's just what it is. Like, look how many years the Warriors weren't even in contention because of injuries. Injuries happen, and it hurts you or it helps you. So that's a mute point to me. But Durant, for his legacy, decided to put his legacy on the line with Kyrie Irving and James Harden. He absolutely sucks at picking teammates, man.
His friends.
Kyrie Irving is widely talented, Carlton. I love watching Kyrie Irving play, but it's rare that you see Kyrie Irving play. The guy barely plays 65 games a year. He just takes personal weeks off, not days, personal weeks off for God knows what reason. That was before this COVID incident. Anybody that pays Kyrie Irving a max deal for multiple years is insane to me. Like, you have to pay him by the year to ensure that he shows up, in my opinion. I'm an Orlando Magic fan. If they wanted to trade him to the Magic, would I take him? Absolutely. Because we're the Orlando Magic.
You talking about Durant or Kyrie or both?
Kyrie, because we're the Orlando Magic. We don't have room to be picky. So we'll take anybody and we'll give him personal weeks off. But if you're a contending team, do you really think you could count on Kyrie? Like, I don't know about that. In terms of Durant, all I'll say about Durant is this, man. I saw something with Shannon Sharp earlier, and I agree with him. Durant, to me's legacy right now looks like that of a guy that runs from a challenge.
Yeah, I saw
OKC. Yeah. They're up 3-1 against the Warriors. They lose that series 4-3. Durant jumped ship. Not only does he leave OKC, he goes to the team that just came back.
Was it the next season?
It was the next season. Yeah, he went to the Warriors. Then he decides to leave the Warriors because he's not a fan of the narrative. He wants to do it. And he gets mad at Charles Barkley for those bus driver comments.
Time.
Yeah,
all the time.
But you could tell it eats at him, Carlton. He, in his heart of hearts, he'll never admit it, but you could tell it eats at him that nobody looks at that Golden State team and says it's his team. Dog, nobody looks at that Golden State team and even thinks he was the second guy. Because you look at Golden State and you're like, that's Steph's baby. That's Clay's baby. That's Draymond's baby.
Yeah, and even with him as being if he was the best player on the team, right? And for all things considered, yeah, it's at least arguable that he was the best player on those championship Golden State teams. How could he join them and expect that to be his legacy? Like, they were already established. So I'm like you. I'm a competitor. So if I was him, I don't care what people say. I'm staying on Golden State. We're going to have a couple of years here without Clay because Clay's hurt. We're going to keep winning championships.
and no one's gonna talk about that narrative, dog, because I'm just gonna go out here and ball. But
if I'm him, I don't even go to Golden State. Now, whether
no,
he was
I would
ready to
never
leave
leave Golden
OKC or not, you know, OKC
I agree with
isn't.
at
But
first, I wouldn't go.
I
But
would
once
never
he
even
makes
go to
that
Golden
decision,
State.
I would have stayed. Once I would
I hear
not
you.
have gone to Golden State if I was him. But once you make that decision, to me, you just stay because you've already took the criticism. But he decides, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna establish my own legacy, and he picks Kyrie and Harden, and then Harden turns into Ben Simmons, and the Nets,
And then
the
he
Nets
turns
don't-
into Ben Simmons. He legit was playing like Ben Simmons and got traded, and they got Ben Simmons. And the Phillies still had Ben Simmons, even though they had Harden. And Brooklyn had Ben Simmons and got nothing from Ben Simmons.
Dog, to watch Ben Simmons sitting on the bench in those outfits in the playoffs.
That green outfit was the one.
That
the green
shit
outfit was
so
classic.
funny to me, dog. Like
The green
I couldn't
outfit was
stop
classic.
laughing every time they brought the ball and you could see the Nets bench because I just kept thinking to myself like, this is Durant's legacy. This is who he's banking on. But Brooklyn doesn't want Kyrie, so Durant, instead of staying with Brooklyn and them finding a piece around Kyrie and him playing with Ben Simmons, what does that sound? Just like I'm out. And what are the top two teams on his list? Phoenix, who's been to a finals recently. Miami, who's been to a finals recently. It looks like when the going gets tough with KD, he just gets to going. Like gets to going. At the end of the day, man, in terms of his legacy, and I hate when people are like legacy's overrated, blah blah blah, because all of these guys are chasing something. You know what I'm saying? They're chasing the ghost of a player past. It eats at KD that Golden State won this championship. It bothers him. I know it
has to.
It bothers him. And he wants to now go out and definitely, like, Doc, when you think about Durant's legacy, man, he has no championships without the Warriors.
Mm-mm.
None. Mm-mm. He's got one other finals appearance outside of that when the Heat.
Let's go Heat.
Yep. But dude, with Brooklyn, they won one playoff series, Carlton. One. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry this year played more games together than the Brooklyn trio played in 3.
Yeah. That's a stat for you.
That's crazy. But to your point about Miami, you'd be crazy to not want him, man. Like, the guy, you'd be crazy to not want him. He can play D. The guy can pass. He's the ultimate scorer in this NBA. I don't believe him to be the best player. I'll go with Giannis. But any team that can get Kevin Durant should get Kevin Durant. I
didn't want LeBron, but I sucked it up. I had a cup. I had a LeBron cup. So I'll get over it. The
positives, and the thing to me about Durant, and I don't really see a negative. Do I think he's very sensitive? Absolutely. Is he my cup of tea as a person? Nah. Not really. Because he's so, to me, unnecessarily like
aggressive.
I don't understand why Durant is replying to some asshole's tweet who's sitting in his basement criticizing him. Like, that shit makes no sense to me. Like,
right.
You're so above that, my God. Like, to be bothered by that, to me, is just crazy. And then he was making burner accounts. It's like, dude, like, just stay off the shit. The shit is not for you. The shit is not for you. It's not. You can't handle what's going on in the Twitterverse. Like Dave Chappelle said, it's not a real fucking place. It's not a real place.
Got a question from one of our watchers, listeners, so thank you all for engaging. Wimbledon, have you been watching?
Love the shit. Whoever's asking about that, I appreciate you. I watched the Djokovic match today.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, man.
Down 2 sets, comes back, wins it in 5.
Serena got in the first round, though.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
went
she's
out
40
first
years
round.
old. She hasn't played in a year, so that's
Yeah.
definitely
Is she
believable.
done, or is this just the beginning of her comeback? It's just powerful because it was a hell of a match, first of all.
What's the question, first of all? Just if we've been watching.
So no, the question was, we not watching, it's the dry season, so to speak, for me at least. So the comment was, are y'all checking out the question, are y'all checking out Wimbledon? So the short answer is yes. I glance and I'll watch some of the matches. I watch Djokovic. I watch Serena.
Jokic. No, not Jokic.
Jokic is the basketball player.
Novak
Djokovic is
tennis.
the tennis player. Yeah. So I watched that today. That was a great match. The thing that's jumped out before I go there, Serena, first round. She's 40, hadn't played in a year. So is this just par for the course, Golf Reference, and her coming back, or is she near done?
I think it's over, man. Like she's older. She's older, man. She's a mom. Like, you want to spend time with your kids. Like, I get that. Like, I'm older. I'd be trying to spend as much time with my kid as humanly possible. So I definitely get that. And you just got these young girls out there trying to, that's the thing too. She's older. She's obviously a step slower. The game is going to be a step off. And when you play these girls and they play her, man, they want to make their name off of her. I mean, like, she's getting the best of every opponent. Every opponent's playing her like it's their Wimbledon final because they want to make a name off of her. Like, they want to be like, I beat Serena. So I think to expect a 40-year-old that's taken this long of a break to come back and be able to win a Grand Slam, which is 7 matches over 14 days, that's tough. That's tough. The women's draw to me is not as exciting this year because, my favorites are out. I'm a big
Golf is out. Serena
out. Is my girl in tennis. So is I love Coco Gauff. Osaka, even though Osaka just seems to have other issues that keep her from participating often.
Yeah, we want her to take care of herself. Yes.
Yep, and get back on the court, but just be happy. But the men's draw is where it's at to me, man. Novak and Nadal, if that ends up being the final.
I love me some Nadal.
Epic.
I love me some Nadal.
I didn't appreciate Nadal until I got older. And what I respect about him and love is that, Carlton, that dude makes you work if you want to win the point. He plays, even at his age, he goes for every ball like his mother's life depends on whether or not not his life, his mother's life.
Yeah.
And you see him mentally just break down his opponents because they can't withstand what needs to be done in order to beat this man in a tennis match. The amount of shots you're going to have to hit to beat him just takes an unbelievable amount of mental preparation. But what I'm interested to see in the wild card to me is Kyrgios, the Australian buddy. The one that cusses
is
out
that the troublemaker? Yeah, the troublemaker. Yeah.
Because he's got the talent to beat either guy, but he's got the mind to completely just blow up and lose in 3 sets. So he is the must-watch player in the tournament for me. Like, Carl, I set my alarm for this guy's matches because he's gonna cuss out umpires. He's gonna get into it with his opponent. He's gonna get into it with the crowd. The guy's a complete asshole, but you just can't take your eyes off him. You can't take your eyes. He's super talented as a player, but his mind is just everywhere.
Speaking of, he has a case pending, I guess, some domestic violence or something of that
assault against his ex girlfriend in Australia.
Which transitions me to my next sports topic. The dude we can't get away from. I thought we were done talking about him, but Deshaun Watson, we still are waiting for the NFL's decision. Word on the street is that they're going to suspend him for a year. If that be the case, where are you in response to that?
Well, I would say if they wanted to suspend him for the year, he didn't play last year. If it comes down to the money, they should just offer him this option. Hey, we could suspend you for the year, or we take your salary for this year, since we didn't take it from you last year. Because, come on, man, like they sat him out last year. He had no opportunity to play whatsoever. So
is that something that they would do? Is that even a consideration?
They're not going to do that.
Okay.
But to me, that would be one thing to look at. The other thing is, what a bunch of damn hypocrites the NFL is. They tell you that this conduct policy is to protect the shield, and it encompasses everyone that's an NFL employee, and it says even the owners, and the owners are to be held to the highest standards. Well, Deshaun Watson has no criminal charges. Dog, do I think Deshaun Watson do I think his behavior is strange? I do. Do I think Deshaun Watson did something inappropriate? Sure, I do. But there's no criminal charges. And there's all these women. And with all these women, they somehow came up with no criminal charges. So I think the NFL walks into murky water when they start suspending people over what they deem to be morally right. When, I don't know, Bob Kraft is in the Asian parlor, dipping his wonton into the sweet and sour sauce. And he's getting, the video burnt to the ground so the world never sees it. Not even TMZ can get the Bob Kraft video. And to a greater extent, Daniel Snyder and the Washington, what are they now?
Commanders.
The Washington Commanders. They should have stuck with the Washington football team. I got used to the shit.
You could be tough. I like that as the football team. The Washington. I
liked it better.
I don't know what your mascot is, but the Commanders. That's
what I'm saying. So he's got an organization where it seems like every day there's another sexual assault complaint. Every day there's another sexual harassment complaint.
Racism, sexism, emails, all the stuff.
And then they do this investigation on Washington. They have over 600,000 emails, and the only ones that get leaked are the ones where Gruden's calling Goodell the F word for gay people. And I'm with Gruden on this, man. I find that hard to believe that those just coincidentally are the only ones that leak. Why don't they show us?
Doesn't he have a suit
he's definitely
pending?
Suing.
Yeah.
The other part I don't understand is why not show us the other 600,000 emails? You know why, Carlton? Because they're filled with sexual harassment. They're filled with racism. They're filled with all this garbage that they don't want us to see in the inner workings. But Daniel Snyder got fined? What is a fine to a billionaire?
Well, and to your point,
he didn't
why
have to
they
give
don't
up
want it to come out.
Carlton. He didn't have to do any of that shit.
It would force the owners to act, right? If all 600,000 emails came out, there would be no argument, no debate as to how the Washington team is being run. But as I understand it, if there's a loophole, I don't know, but the owners have to be the ones to vote him out. And as long as it stays at a certain level, they keep him. If it goes here, they have to act. And so from here to here, they don't want to act. So
I believe 24 out of 32 owners would have to vote him out. No, but what I'm talking about is you talked about punishment and the owners will be held to the highest standard. That's clearly not the case.
That's not
so
true.
Are you really in a position to suspend Deshaun Watson for a year?
Being weird. Yeah.
And they are going to do it. I agree with you. they are going to do it, which just goes to show you their hypocrisy. It just goes to show you their hypocrisy. This isn't about what Deshaun Watson's actions are. This is about, they want to portray the image of, we're tough on men that do this to women, when their owners are assholes and sleazeballs and perverts that do this to women all the time. And you know why Goodell can't hold them to a higher standard? Because that's his damn boss. How do you hold your boss to a higher standard?
I tried and I was not successful. So
that's what I'm telling you, dog. You don't hold your like Daniel Snyder look at Goodell and be like, I'll have you removed. How about that?
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that for What in the Sports.
Unsolicited genius.
The genius.
Unsolicited genius.
Craig D. Mo Lot. See, yes. You are listening to